So hello, welcome everybody to our Preptober event. I hope everyone's excited about NanoWrimo. This will be my 10th year of completing it, and I have successfully done it 9 times. And okay, how many people is it your first time? Okay, so here's the good news, is that once you do it once, then you're like, oh, I can do it, and the rest is easy after that. Well, relatively easy. And so how we're breaking this up is I'm more of the pants are on the fly person, and then Margot's got like the planning it out thing. So as we were discussing, it's kind of like plotting and pantsing. Does everyone know what those are? Okay, good. It's a spectrum, right? So I'm not going to be on November 1st, I'm not like, what am I going to do? So I have an idea, I do some prep work, but I don't plot, I don't plan it out, I don't have like an outline or anything like that. So if you're in that camp yourself, you know, some of the things you can do, the best thing you can do, I think, to prepare yourself is to have something in your back pocket for when you don't want to write, or when things aren't coming, or you're like, I don't like the direction I'm in, and you're 20,000 words in, and you're like, you know what, I think I want to write something else. If you're a pantser, the good news is you can, in theory, do that. So for myself, I am more of what's called a rebel. So in the old times, when NanoWrimo first came out, there was very strict rules. It was like you have to write 50,000 words, it has to be a new project, you can't have done any work on it whatsoever, and it's like the 30 days. And now they're like kind of chill. They're like, yeah, you could work on something you've already worked on. I think there's still like it's got to be 50,000 words. But for myself, like sometimes if I'm writing and I'm like, this isn't working, I don't want to write, I don't want to do this. Sometimes I have like in my arsenal, like I will do character descriptions, setting descriptions. Because I hate descriptions, not because I like it, because I hate it. But sometimes when I'm writing, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to describe anything in this room. But sometimes if I can just take myself out of it and just write a chunk, then I'm like, oh, okay, I can write a lot more, and then I can pepper it in later. So I work like in chunks. There's stuff that I love to write. I like to write, I'm in the mood, sex scenes. I'll just write, because you can plug those anywhere, right? So I'll just, if I'm like, I can't write, I don't want to write, then I'll write something I really want to write, or I really like to write. Other thing I'll also do is sometimes I'll go like, I'll write like a scene from one of the characters' childhoods that I know is not going to be in the novel, I'm not going to use it, but it kind of helps me dig into character, and I'll do that. So I have like a whole bunch of stuff. Sometimes I'll just do an argument. It's like, because I like to write dialogue, right? So it's just dialogue. Maybe a little tag here, just you're there. But I don't make myself, I think in order to get so many words so quickly, particularly if you're not used to it, is that you kind of have to cut yourself some slack. And I think that's where pantsers are really, really good. Because you're just like, well, I'm just going to do this for a while. It's all good. It's just words, it's words, it's words. The other thing I will say is I would front load the beginning. Because there's nothing like being like 10 days in and you're like 5,000 words behind, and then part of you'll go like, well, do I even want to continue? Can I even make it up? But if you front load it, if you do 2,000 words a day in the beginning, you have to do 1,667. You do 2,000 in the beginning, then when it comes like Thanksgiving time, or if your family's all home on Veterans Day, and you're already behind, then this is like added pressure that you don't need. But if you're doing your 2,000 words and you're like, yeah, I got like a day in the bank, then you can write. I would still write every day, but you can write 300 words, right? And you're still not behind. You're still good. You got some momentum going. NanoWrimo has some really cool features if you're motivated by like badges. So they'll have a thing where I think you might get a badge on the first day, like you wrote today, but they'll have a thing like when you hit 5,000 words, you get like a little thing. I think there's confetti, like confetti on the screen. It was like 5,000 words, which for me is really motivating. I'm like, yes, 5,000 words. And they'll have a little thing. I think if you write, you get, if you write 1,600, at least 1,667 words every day for the 30 days, you get like a special badge. There's like something, I think a streak of 10 days, you get a badge, so on and so on and so on. So there's things like that. And that's another thing you can do is, I think it's important to make it fun. So that's important too, is to, I think if you donate to the NanoWrimo, I think it's $5. You get like a little halo on your icon. And that's kind of fun. I haven't done it in a long time, but there's also like chat rooms. So people on there are like, I got this elf character, I don't know what to name him. And people will be like, name him this, name him that. Which might be nice if you want to take a break or you're feeling like you don't want to write, but it keeps you connected to the project. So you want to be careful that you don't go down the rabbit hole of spending 3 hours coming up with elf names. But there is that thing, and at the same time, you can also use that for yourself. If you're like, I got this elf and I don't know what to name him, people come up and they'll come up with some good stuff. I probably, even if you're just like, I'm struggling, people will be like, I am too, or here's what you can do, here's a virtual hug. So you can use that sort of thing. I should have put this on you can friend people. And then you can kind of see, you can check on them, get stalk them and see how many words they've written. It's like, how many did you write today, or how far are you along? There used to be a thing, and if anyone wants to email me, I have like a virtual business card if you want to scan it. But it's just holly@hollysmurthwaite.com. I think my name's on the flyer, so you can just email me. There used to be this widget where you could put this like little bit of code, and it would put like your word count and one other person's word count. So you could have like a word count duel, if you were. And it used to be they set it up where it was like Chicago versus Detroit. And they would match you up with people, and they would be your nemesis. So you would, it was like a friendly sort of thing. Really motivating for me, because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna beat that guy. And then in fact, I had one nemesis, I think we nemesis, I don't know, for 3 years. And we switched off who would win too. It was interesting. So there are things that you can do that make it really fun. In the handout, I write everything in For the Words, which is a program that kind of gamifies writing. And for National Novel Writing Month, they have like a special area and stuff. So you fight monsters. It's like, I'm gonna fight this 500-word monster. And there's like a time limit, right? So you have to write 500 words in an hour or whatever. And then you get, coins and whatever. But the nice thing about it is it keeps your word count for you. So at the end of the day, I can see how many words I wrote. And it's fun, it's motivating. You're just like, I want to get that crown, or I want to get that shovel, or you can buy clothes or whatever. But they have a 30-day free trial. So if you wanted to try it, you could do it for National Novel Writing Month and do it for free. And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't cost a lot, and it's like you buy crystals, so it's not even like, it's almost like cryptocurrency. It was like an early cryptocurrency where you would buy stuff and pay for it. But I think it's like $5 a month, not even $5 a month. But I think, I haven't tried this yet, but if you use the code Chicago Writers, which is like my patron code, I think you get an extra 14 days. So you don't have to like start right on, you can do it a few days ahead of time. And then if it doesn't work for you, or if you're not like obsessed like me, you can just let it go. And you can just use it even just for word count. And it also is the other nice thing is it's almost like a cloud backup. So I can go back to my early drafts and see like an old version if for some reason my computer crashed or died or anything like that. There's also on the resource list something called Pacemaker. That's another sort of, it's like an /accountability motivation thing. I think they also have confetti. And you can set your specific writing goal. Like, I want to write, 1,667 words a day. And then you have to check in and then, like, did you do it? Confetti, So if that sort of thing motivates you, then that's another really cool tool that you can use. I didn't put this on there, but there's also a program called Stick, S-T-I-K-K, and it was mostly used for exercise people. So what would happen is you go in the pool and you're going to be like, we're all going to like run every day, and you put in, groups would vary. So say you put like $5 for a month. I'm going to run every day, and if you don't, then you lose that $5. And then everyone else in the group that does get it splits the pot. So that's one way to do it. They also have like, you don't have to do money too. That's the other thing. It's not like you need to put money in. But the like really wicked one was you can say like, all right, I'm gonna write every day for 30 days, and if I don't, here's like $10. And if I don't, you're gonna donate it to a cause I hate. So it's just like if you are like very anti-gun, it's like if I don't write every day, the NRA is getting $10 from me. Ooh. And so that's, some people, I think that's why they call it the stick. That's like, that can really motivate you, some people, to do it. But the other thing is, I think you just have to find like what works for you. I don't think there's not like a right or wrong way to do it, other than front loading. I promise you, you'd be so glad you did it. And the other thing is not to lose hope. And you can reach out to people. It helps, I think, to have friends and stuff, because you can also, it's clunky and it's not very convenient, but you can message people through the NanoWrimo website. And you can say like, I'm struggling, and then you can say like, you can do it. Because I think it's really important, especially as writers, it's really hard to write solitarily and then have like a word count on top of it. It's just really nice to be able to say like, my story sucks. And that's the other thing. You can't judge your story. Like some people, like it's okay I think to read what you wrote the day before to kind of get your momentum going, but don't read it and go like, oh, this dialogue is so trite. I'm gonna go back in and, it's the whole point of Nano, I think the whole point that, I forget the guy's name, who invented it, was just to mow through. It's just to stop thinking about it and you kind of get into, I promise you, after, I think maybe 4 or 5 days, you get into the right mindset. You're just like, yeah, I'm just cranking out words, whatever they are. Like, maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. So I think it's also a good time to sort of let go of what you normally do and maybe try something different. Like for me, I'm just like, I'm gonna write 50,000 words and we'll just see what comes out of it. In fact, even I think last week I was like, maybe I'm gonna work on a different project altogether. I had this whole project in mind, but what I'll do now is that I have this project that I was like, should be working on, that I'm actually gonna work on. But if I start to feel stalled, I'm gonna jump to this other project. I'll be like, oh, I'm just gonna write this other thing. Because the whole idea is just to kind of lube the writing thing up, to just crank the words out, crank the words out, crank the words out. And the other big, huge advantage is when you're done at the end of the month, is that revision is suddenly like amazingly wonderful. Like if you're in revision after a while, you're like, oh God, my writing is so horrible, I can't stand to look at it any longer. Or you're just so tired of it. But after you haven't done any of it, it becomes fresh again. And then you're just like, oh, I can see where I can tweak this and tweak that. I think NanoWrimo has some like after the event stuff that I never really participated in. But it might be amazing, but I can't really vouch for it. The other thing is that there are kind of like goodies if you finish. So I know one of them is always like half off Scrivener. And I know Margot writes in Scrivener. So it's nice to have it. If you like it, of course, it's nice to use it during the month. But if you want to check it out, I forget, I think it makes Scrivener like $20 or something like that. But there's like a coupon code that you get every time you finish. and some other things. Discounts are sometimes free stuff. So I admit you should, and there's also like, as you merch, so I got, even my sweatshirt, I got a little NanoWrimo sweatshirt. So those are fun too. So I think that the most important thing is it's really good to take a serious push and serious motivation and to get some serious words on the page. And I also think, like, ever since doing it, that I'm a faster writer. Just by this 1 month where I push myself. I did 1 year, this was only tangentially NanoWrimo related, but I had a friend who had a friend who was like, her friend was gonna write 1 million words in a year. And I was like, that's crazy. Like that's all you would ever do, right? And I was like, well, you could maybe do 500,000. And so 1 year, I think it was 2019, I wrote 500,000 words in a year. And so that when I got, but I front loaded myself even in that. So when I got to NanoWrimo, it was like, I was like, ha ha! Because it was November and I knew already that I was at a good clip, a good pace. And I think all of that stuff, it's like a muscle. I think it helps, even if you only work that muscle once a year, I think that is really, really valuable. And I think I'm done. And I think